Happy Sunday to you, man. Isn't it kind of nice to have a stress-free Sunday? Just get to enjoy the games, watch them all, not have to worry about our team. But we got two tomorrow because we got Monday Night Football, 8:20 on ESPN. We're kicking off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now. That over-under is sitting at 48.5. We are a 3.5-point favorite. I love that. We'll get into my score prediction in just a little bit. But I'm excited for some prime time Monday Night Football. It's going to be a blast, and I'm going to be live for it. So if you guys want to join me, if you're not doing anything else, I suggest you do join me because these live shows are an absolute blast. We watch ball together. We talk about ball together. You know, it's the best place to be. If you're a Ravens fan, we'll be live starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be live for, an hour and 20 before kickoff. Come hang out. Come watch us dominate the Buccaneers. It's the best time. All right, let's talk about the Buccaneers, our Week 7 opponent. Their head coach is Mr. Todd Bowles. Offensive scheme, they run a third-generation West Coast offense, basically Sean McVay's offense, right? Their offensive play caller is Liam Cohen. Their defense scheme, they run attacking 3-4, and a big emphasis on attacking. They blitz more than almost anybody in all of football. Last year, in 2023, they blitzed 40% of the time. That was third most in the NFL last year, and their play caller on defense is also their head coach, and that is Mr. Todd Bowles. All right, so now that you know them a little better, let's get into my 3 keys. Joey's 3 keys to victory on Monday, and that starts with pressuring Mr. Baker Mayfield. And when you look at this Ravens defense, and they've been able to pressure people, but when you look at this offensive line that Tampa Bay has, they've kind of gone in and out. They've had some up and down games. Some games where they let up a lot of pressures, let up a lot of sacks, and then some other games where they do a really good job at protecting Baker. Let's go game by game. All right, they started off against the Washington Commanders, let up 1 sack, 9 pressures. Then week 2 and 3, those were rough. 12 sacks combined through those 2 weeks, 13 pressures combined. But then they've shorted up these past couple weeks. Against the Eagles, only 2 sacks on 5 pressures. And these last 2 weeks against the Saints and against the Falcons, 1 sack and 1 pressure each. But the question is their offensive line really good, or are they just going against weak competition? They haven't faced a defense that's in the top 10 in the NFL, or at least in the top 9 in the NFL when it comes to sacks per games. Commanders has 17. They're 10th. They've only faced 1, and when they did, that's when they gave up their most sacks. Lions have 15 sacks. They're tied for 13. Broncos, 22 sacks. They're second. That's the game they gave up 7 sacks against. Then the Eagles only have 11 sacks in the season. That's 24th. Falcons only have 5. Absolutely horrendous. That's 32nd, also known as last in the NFL. And the Saints have 15, tied for 13th. And then you take a look at this Ravens pass rush, and you kind of have the thought and I kind of think they might struggle with it, right? I have a good feeling they're going to struggle with this defensive line because this pass rush has been really good so far this year. 19 sacks, that's 4th on the season. 80 pressures, that's 6th in the NFL. And we only blitz 21% of the time. So you're 4th in the NFL in sacks, you're 6th in the NFL in pressures, and you only blitz 21% of the time. 26th in the NFL. That's called efficient pass rushing. And that's why I think this Tampa Bay team is going to struggle against the pass rush. Because every team kind of so far has this season. And you look at Baker's stats against or when he's under pressure, not that great, not that terrible, but I've seen a lot better. 60% completion percentage. He has a negative .70 completion percentage above expected. And his expected points per dropback when he's facing pressure is negative .44. So those last two, not great. And it kind of makes you think, okay, if I'm Zach Orr, I don't know if I'm sending a ton of blitzes, but I'm keying in on my defensive line and saying, hey, this is a guy who's not great under pressure. This is an offensive line that when they face a really good defensive line, they let up a lot of sacks, let up a lot of pressures. Let's key on that this week, okay? So I got a question for you guys. 3.5 sacks against Tampa Bay not Sunday, tomorrow, on Monday. Type O for over. Type U for under, okay? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. You're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. So, to make the time go by faster, scroll down to the comment section, and if you think they're going to get over that, thank you, Producer Allie, for fixing that. Look at her. If you think they're going to get over 3.5 sacks, then give me an O. And if you think they're going to get under 3.5 sacks, give me a U. All right, let's go to key number 2. I need this run defense to stay hot. And boy, have they been hot. But you know what else has been hot? This Tampa Bay rushing offense against the Saints last week. 35 carries, 277 yards, 7.9 yards per carry, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Just an absolutely phenomenal performance. But let's see how they stack up against this number 1 ranked rush defense in the Ravens. So far, yards per game, the Ravens have let up 59. That's first in the NFL. Yards per carry, 3. That's first in the NFL. They've only let up 3 runs of over 10 yards. That's first in the NFL. Rushing yards over expected per attempt for opponents, negative 0.89, almost less than a yard every single carry. And then yards per contact per attempt, 0.8. That means we're hitting running backs before they've even gotten a yard. That's third best in the NFL. But this Buccaneers offense is top 10 in every rushing statistic. 136.8 yards per game, that's 8th. 5.3 yards per carry, 27 rushes of 10 or more yards. Their rushing yards over expected per attempt is 0.7, so almost a yard. And then their yards before contact per attempt, 6th in the NFL, 1.95. And when I was getting ready for this, guys, I think I noticed something. I think that every single team having to be one-dimensional, I think we're kind of taking that for granted. I do. I think we're kind of being spoiled brats about it. We want to complain, and myself is in on this concluded. We want to complain about this pass defense, and we look at this rush defense, and we got to realize every single team we're playing, the only thing they're doing is passing because they abandoned the run game because they're not being able to do anything against us. And we take for granted the fact that every single team has to whittle down to just a one-dimensional game plan. And that's freaking awesome. It's amazing. And hopefully it stays the same way. Because when the Buccaneers played the Saints on Sunday, and when they started saying, okay, let's just stop passing the ball as much, just run it, they were dominant. Hopefully that doesn't happen tomorrow. All right, now it is time for 2 more keys of victory. Almost time, I should say. Before we get into that, I got to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, and that, of course, is Game Time. Guys, Kay Petersen, my mother, she raised herself a frugal son. I'm not going to say cheap. I'm going to say frugal. And that's why I love Game Time so much, okay? You get the last-minute tickets and flash deals. You get the lowest price guarantee. You also get to see the views from your seat. Guys, there's no better ticketing website on the entire earth if you want to save money but still go to all the live events that you love, whether it's concerts, whether it's theater, comedy, or any sporting events. This is the place to go. Game Time has a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks, and it makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. The tool highlights the best deals, including great and amazing deals, which are the highest value seats at the time. For some events, Game Time Picks also identifies a super deal, which is the best seat value in the venue. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is game time. Alrighty, guys. My 4th key to victory. I think you got to stick with your identity, okay? I think it's been really obvious after these past 6 weeks what this team's identity is. And I think that's what's missing. That's what was missing after the first 2 weeks, okay? After that game against the Raiders, you're sitting here and you're thinking, what even is this team's identity? What do we do? Well, now we know. We run it down people's throats, okay? And through the first 6 weeks of the NFL season, the Ravens have outrushed their opponents by 100 yards. 100 yards every single game. No other team in the history of the National Football League has ever done that to start a season. And you know why we've been able to do it? It's because of this guy. It's because of King Henry, who's having a historic year so far in 2024. He's first in the NFL in rushing attempts with 119. He's first in the NFL in rushing yards with 704. He's first in the NFL in rushing yards over expected. 264 rushing yards more than he's expected to have this year. Number 1. He's second in the NFL in yards per carry. 5.9. And he's first in the NFL in rushing touchdowns. He's been unstoppable. This Ravens team is going against a rush defense in Tampa Bay that's had some good, it's had some bad, but honestly, mostly good, okay? This yards per game, 113.3, 22nd in the NFL. Yards per play, 4.7. That's 9th in the NFL. Expected points added per rush, 0.09. That's 3rd. Rushing yards over expected, they've allowed 111. That's 8th. Rushing yards before contact per attempt, 1.82. That's 1st. Okay? So there are things with this with this Buccaneers defense where they've been pretty good against the defensive line, against the rushing offense. But real quick, I want to give a shout out to some guys who haven't received a ton of love. I've tried to give them love, but I don't think anybody in the media really is doing a good job of giving them love because Derrick Henry is able to put the numbers he's able to put up because of these guys right here, okay? This rushing offense has a success rate of 48.8%. That's 4th best in the NFL. They have a stuff rate of 12.9%. That's 4th best in the NFL. And they face a stacked box 26.3% of the time. That's 5th most in the NFL. So they face the 5th most percent of stacked boxes, yet they have the 4th best success rate and the 4th best stuff rate. These guys have been doing an awesome job of paving the way for Derrick Henry, and I could not be more proud of them. I got a question for you, though. Does Derrick Henry keep the touchdown streak going? He's had a touchdown in every single game so far, 8 on the year. Does he keep it going through week 7? If you think yes, give me a Y, and if you think no, give me an N. For my last key to victory, I got to go with our quarterback, QB1, the man, the 2-time MVP, Lamar Jackson. I need him to continue to be accurate. I need him to continue to be on because this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team has led up some big games, and I'm talking about what Mr. Kirk Cousins was able to do against them on Thursday Night Football. Against Tampa Bay, he had a 72.4% completion percentage, 509 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 pick. 509 yards against the Buccaneers on Thursday Night Football. And I think Lamar's able to do that. I really do. I don't think he'll get 509 yards because this team runs the ball so much, but I think he has the ability to. Because you've seen these last 2 games, he's been phenomenal. 46 of 68 passing, 671 yards, 5 touchdowns, and only 1 pick. He's been phenomenal. When the football's been in his hands, when you've told him late in the game in the 4th quarter against the Bengals or on long 3rd downs against the Commanders, and you said, hey, get us this 1st down, or hey, win us this game, hey, complete us this pass, he's been able to do that. And I've loved watching it because it's been beautiful to see. But Lamar's been great. I think we got to give a little love, just like we did the offensive line. I think we got to give a little love to the wide receivers as well. Because Lamar has only had to throw into a tight window 9.1% of the time. 2nd least in the NFL. 2nd least. Only 9% of his throws he's had to throw against a tight window. That's because these wide receivers are able to create so much separation, and that's also because this offensive line has been able to pave a way for this run offense. So every single defense we play has to expect the fact that you're probably going to run, respect the fact that you're probably going to run the football as well. So shout out to these wide receivers. Shout out to this offensive line. Shout out to the quarterback. Shout out to everybody because they've been phenomenal. And because they've been phenomenal, I think they keep it rolling. And I think they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by a score of 31-21 on Monday Night Football. I think you get the win. I think you win your 5th straight, and I think you do it by at least 10 points. That means you cover the spread. So if you're looking to bet right now, it's Sunday, games tomorrow. If you're saying, hey, I want to make a little extra cash, don't put it on me, but I would say you're probably going to make a little money if you bet it. I don't know. It's your money. You do what you want. You saw my you saw my score prediction. Now it's time for you. Comment your score prediction down below for me. I'll be live tomorrow. We'll have a video coming out before the game, but I'll be live starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. Come hang out with me.